And Eamonn Fingleton on the line with us. He's an economics journalist and contributor at Forbes.com, the author of numerous books, including one of my favorite books, In the Jaws of the Dragon. His website, Fingleton.net, and his Twitter at Forbes. Eamonn, welcome back to the program.
Great to be with you, Tom.
Thank you so much. Are you in Europe now, or are you in Japan?
I'm in Europe. I'm in Dublin, Ireland.
Ah, okay, great. I'm curious your thoughts on what's going on in Cyprus and how this is all playing out and why.
Well, I think for Forbes, immediately after the news, the original news about this, saying this is inexplicable, and it's still inexplicable. I can't understand why they've been so clumsy, basically, if that is the right interpretation. There's so many unanswered questions. Could
it not be? I mean, we saw this report, I think it was in The Guardian yesterday or today, that Mario Draghi, correct my pronunciation if I have it wrong, the European Central Bank president, gave a presentation to the leaders of the European nations sometime a year or so ago, saying that there was that austerity was actually necessary and was going to work because he had two graphs, one showing wages and the other showing productivity, and he showed that the debtor countries, as it were actually had this large gap between wages and productivity, that where the wages had gone up faster than productivity, and that this shouldn't be, and so we need to dial them back. And it turns out that his wages numbers were not inflation adjusted, and his productivity numbers were. So it was apples and oranges. And when you inflation adjust both numbers, they were actually tracking perfectly. He was lying, but he shut down Francois Mitterrand. Mitterrand had gone to the meeting ready for a fight, and he just totally blew him up. Could it be that this is all just part of a plan? I mean, not wanting to sound like I've got too much of a tinfoil hat on, but it doesn't seem like they would do something as large as demanding a chunk of the hide of the depositors in Cyprus without thinking it through.
It is extremely curious. As you know, a fundamental rule of banking in the post-World War II era was that small depositors where their rights were sacrosanct. And it certainly... one of the things that goes through my mind is whether the tax thing is the issue. In other words, I think that Germany, particularly the Netherlands, Finland, many of these countries in continental Europe are rather upset about the way that countries like Ireland have low tax corporate taxes, and therefore get a lot of corporate investment through that route, and also a lot of banking goes through places like Ireland these days. And I think that from a German point of view, this is something of a tax ripoff, and therefore maybe there's a message here that these countries on the periphery that are being propped up now, maybe they should start thinking about obliging the Germans on the tax front, raise their corporate taxes, and stop sort of this thing of tax tourism, as they call it.
Yeah. It's interesting. This article in the Guardian says, and moreover, and this is the key point, using the correct figures. In other words, when you inflation adjust both wages and productivity, transforms Germany from the wage productivity paragon, so portrayed by the central bank, into what it really is, a country that has systematically undercut the stability norm for balanced growth in a monetary union, and thus been a major contributing factor to the crisis. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I unfortunately have not seen the article, but I think my understanding is that Germany is pretty productive, and I would have to take a close look at any argument that says that it isn't.
No, I agree. Germany is incredibly productive.
You just have to look at that country's exports to know that they've got a reasonably efficient economy, and then when you visit Germany, you see an economy that frankly works.
Yeah, yeah. So could Cyprus come to the United States?
I've been thinking about this. I think that I think there are two issues here. One is the big banks, and the other is the smaller banks. Ordinary banks in the United States that don't do international business, that are not up to their ears in these derivatives and so on, I think that the FDIC guarantee up to $250,000 will still obtain. It would really be an earthquake if the FDIC reneged on that. Mm-hmm. So I think the regional banks, etc., are relatively safe up to $250,000. These major banks that do business across international borders, they're much more of a problem for the regulators, and they have all these derivatives that are impossible for anybody to value. So you can have shocks that suddenly emerge with these things, and I think I would not have my money in some of these banks, but I think Americans generally with regional banks, probably they're okay.
Or presumably credit unions or savings and loans?
Yeah, the smaller the bank, I think, in general, probably the more secure in terms of the guarantee. The bank itself may not be solvent necessarily, but the guarantee will bail you out.
Yeah. Very interesting. Do you think that it's possible that if somebody had their money with one of the big four or the big six banks in the United States that control assets equal to 2/3 of GDP of the entire country, that if those banks were to be shaken badly, I mean they control assets of around 10, 11, 12 trillion dollars, but their exposure to these collateralized debt obligations is tens, if not hundreds of trillions of dollars. If they got wiped out, that the government, our federal government, the FDIC wouldn't at least cover their small depositors, their first $250,000 depositors?
I think on balance, the answer to that is that the FDIC would try very hard.
Right.
The problem is that these things are such unpredictable entities that there might be an overwhelming crisis.
Yeah. But you might end up taking years to try to get your money, for example.
Right. I mean, the substantive point I would make is that these derivatives should, in many cases, they should be effectively outlawed. I mean, the regulators should just clamp down on them because in most cases, these derivatives serve no economic function. The real rationale is that the investment banks cook these things up. And they know how they work, and then they sell them to these institutional investors who don't know how they work. So the investment banks are making profits on these things, and the institutional investors are losing on them.
And what's so ironic is it was Ken Lay of Enron, it was pushing for this stuff because he wanted to gamble. He pushed Phil Graham. Phil Graham's wife Wendy was on the board of Enron. Phil Graham is the guy who did the Commodity Futures Modernization Act that allowed much of this to happen.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
It's
these things don't have an economic function. Many of them are basically, let's say, shady.
It's the Enronization of our economy. I mean, it seems to me. Eamonn Fingleton. Fingleton.net is the website. Economics journalist and contributor at Forbes.com. And check out his book, In the Jaws of the Dragon. It's a brilliant analysis of the economic and geopolitical situation.